Hi, today I'm going to give you a couple of tips of things of what to do and what not to do during your POW English exam. The first thing that you have to see and write on your test, besides your name, is that you're going to be given two options to choose from, an option A and an option B. So as you see here, this person did not write the option on the test. So please remember that you've got to write an A or a B on the exam. Don't expect the examiners to do that for you. I know I've said this 1,000 times, but your presentation is definite to get a good or at least a better grade. These examiners have a pile of exams to grade, and believe me, they're not going to spend time trying to figure out what you have written on your examination. Okay, so this student over here, okay, is pretty neat. As you see from the exam paper, this student has written exercise 1 and exercise 2 on one side. Okay, you know that your POW exam exercise 1 will only have 2 options to choose from. So you can write exercises 1, 1, 2, and 3 can be done on this sheet of paper. Okay, and not only that, please notice that there is a space between one exercise and the other. It is vital to see that there is a space between one and the other. It's not a Maureen thing, believe me, it's a teacher thing. Okay, so going with the same thing that we mentioned in the previous slide, this is pretty neat. It's true that this is a very neat exam, but come on, it's a little cramped in here. Look, there is no space, okay? And it does get a little bit complicated to read and to correct, okay? There is no, you really do not need to economize your space in your English exam. You may have to do that for another test, but believe me, not in English. Try to do exercises 1, 2, and 3, like I mentioned previously, in exercise 4, and your writing you do on the other side of the page. Regarding exercise 2, as you see in this test over here, this student over here has written way too many words for this paragraph. Okay, that's why I wrote that it was way too long. Exercise 2, you really just need to write 1, 2, or 3 lines, believe me, no more than 3 and 4, in order to answer the evidence from your text in your own words. Please remember that this exercise 2 is in your own words. Okay, I'm going to write it down. Your own words. Okay, do not copy from the text. They will take away grade if you do that. Okay, just try to rewrite, use synonyms, antonyms, whatever you can think of in order to avoid to use the same words that come up in the test. Okay, so we have made it to exercise 4. Okay, and I want you to notice the difference between this text over here and the one on your right. Okay, the main difference is that this student has copied the entire sentence and has underlined the gap. Okay, in exercise 4 in your POW exam, remember that you're only going to have 4 sentences to write. So believe me, there is no complication whatsoever for you to copy the sentence and underline the gap. If you do this, and we've told you 1,000 times, you may come up with an option that the examiner has not come up with. So if they have a cheat sheet where they are correcting and copying from when they grade, they will not see that option if they don't have the full sentence. So please copy the sentence, underline the gap, okay? And this, by the way, is very, very messy. The reason why this exercise is on this presentation is because the handwriting is way too small and very difficult to read. I do have to say that the student at the end got a fairly good grade because it was a very good composition, but that's because, remember, your teacher's like you. The person correcting your exam doesn't know you, has a pile of exams to grade, and is not going to spend time trying to figure out what you have written. So please, try to make it easier for yourself, and even though you have a small handwriting or difficult handwriting, try to do your best so it can be read and corrected accordingly to your performance. The reason why this exercise or this example is on the presentation is because this sentence is way too long. Okay? In English, you do not write such long sentences. The sentence in the paragraph starts over here. Okay, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 lines that make one full sentence. Okay, you cannot do that in English. You've got to keep your sentences short and simple. You write one sentence, a linking word, and another sentence, full stop, and then you start a new sentence. So please remember to do this. What happened in this exercise 5, in this composition, is first thing, handwriting is impossible to read, absolutely impossible, full of mistakes, okay, and is way too long. You have to stick to the word limit. If the exercise says that you have to write 100 to 150 words, you've got to stick to the word limit. They're already giving you a margin of 50 words, okay? So please remember, stick to the word limit, okay? Regarding the layout of the exam, exercise 3 and exercise 4, that is fine, okay? But you should leave this side to do your draft writing, for example, okay? You do your draft. And then this side over here to do your clean, okay? Your clean composition. Okay, so please remember, try to write, try to write in a straight line when possible. Okay, do your draft on this side, your clean composition in this, or vice versa, it doesn't really matter. But most of all, if you do not stick to the word limit, you're not complying with the exercise, and they're going to take away grade. And, you know, it's a 3-point exercise. You do not want to give any away. Same thing happens here, okay? But what happens in this case? This composition is pretty good. You do have an introduction over here, okay? You've got a paragraph 1, a paragraph 2, you have a conclusion. So the structure of your composition is good, is very good. But what's the problem? This is where 150 words stops. What happens to the rest of the writing that you have done? That is extra. And what happens if it's extra? That the examiner is not going to read it. Therefore, it is out of your exam. It does not exist. And what's happened? That one of your paragraphs and your composition have been left out. Therefore, your writing is incomplete. And you will probably get a very low mark because you did not comply with the exercise. So please, 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 you've got plenty of time to do your English exam. Read the question, do your draft writing, stick to the word limit, and then when you write it again with no mistakes, okay, you have to cross something out, you do it very discreetly with class, and believe me, there's no big deal, but you've got to stick to what the exercise is asking for. Once you've done your draft writing, and you're going to copy it again in a very nicely, neat manner, okay, here comes one of the problems that we come across, okay? Did you really need to cross every single line out? No, you really don't, okay? You can write a very discreet line, okay, from side to side, or you just write draft, okay? Do not write asucio, please. Asucio does not go, okay? Do not write asucio. It's draft. So this student decided that the first part was the draft writing and that the second part was the the good one, okay, and decided to cross out, instead of line by line, it's an up and down crossing. Believe me, that was not necessary. This would have been perfect. But what's the problem here? Why am I stopping in this one? Because this student did the draft at the top and the neat and clean writing at the bottom, the student does not have enough space to divide the writing by paragraphs. You've got to divide by paragraph, especially your POW writings are mostly with an introduction, 1 or 2 paragraphs in the middle, and you also have a conclusion. This is just a block of 100 and something words, and that's it, okay? So visualize your paragraphs. They cannot be seen here. And this is an example of a decent crossing of your draft writing. Some common mistakes that you make in your POW examinations. One of them is to say people is, or funny combinations. People is plural. People are people. I could not include the link in this video, but you do have the picture, so you can go to YouTube and play the song. It's an 80s song. I know, jeans up to the waist and hair is awful, but it's a great song. If you listen to it once, it will come to your head every time you need to decide if people is singular or plural. People are people. Another mistake that you guys make is this one. Conclusion. Conclusion in English has no acento. So please, television and conclusion, no acentos. Thank you very much. Another common mistake is to use contractions. Listen, your POW writing, your POW composition is pretty formal. You are not writing a friend. Therefore, you cannot say cause. You have to say the full word because. And definitely, there are no wannas and there are no gonnas. It's want to or going to. So please remember, no contractions and no use of informal vocabulary in your POW test. Now, in this slide over here, this is something that I usually tell you in class, that a good composition, a good writing is like a hamburger. Why? Because your top bun is going to be your introduction, your bottom bun is going to be your conclusion, paragraph or sentence, it doesn't really matter, and what you have in between are different paragraphs in order to help you complete the task. Usually you've got 1 or 2 paragraphs and that is fine. Now, on this slide over here, you've got the linking words. There are a lot of linking words that you need to use, or not a lot, but you should use them in your composition because it's going to enrich in your composition a lot, and your grade will come up by far if you use these linking words, obviously in the correct spot, but you do have to use them. Do not use and, then all the time, okay? And that's it. Voila. I just wish you all the luck in the world during your exam, okay? Remember that we are here at school for whatever you may need. You've got my email. You can find me. Good luck in your new adventure.